If you're an unreasonably reasonable person and want to make sick gains in the gym, pick up a Radical Centrist t-shirt at some Black Guy's Teespring store. Links in the description below.
Supreme victory!
So I've been a fan of the Joe Rogan experience since around 2011. I actually crashed on my friend's couch at one point when I was visiting Cali because I was living in Arizona at the time. And then he put on one of the podcasts and they were talking about some weird shit, something that had to do with, aliens or Bigfoot or something like that. Over the years, he's had so many different people on with all these different perspectives, apolitical or not, and he's always just the type of person that seems to want to just have a conversation and learn their perspective and what they think, and usually it's very non-confrontational, and there's a lot of insight, and for the most part, everybody seems to love it because it's been like pretty much the #1 podcast for a very long time. But every once in a while, when he has a controversial guest on, there's a lot of backlash and whatnot, and usually I'll look into it and see what's going on, and I don't really see much of an issue. But this time around, when he had the Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey on, there was a ton of backlash because of all the stuff that Twitter has been involved in, a lot of censorship, and a lot of people were angry that Joe didn't press him. Now, normally, like I said, I would be like, okay, well, that's not what he does. It's not his style of podcast. But to a certain extent, I kind of do understand why people are angry, and I want to get into that. So Joe's been getting a lot of heat on all his social medias, on Twitter, on YouTube, obviously, where the podcast went down, and then also on Instagram, just stuff that's completely unrelated. You see people in the comment section saying stuff, and finally, Joe got around to preparing a statement and talking about what went down on Instagram. I had Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, on the podcast Friday, and many people felt I didn't grill him hard enough on Twitter censoring right-wing voices. My intention going into the podcast was to talk to him about that, but also to talk to him about the responsibilities that come with managing worldwide conversation with a platform no one ever saw coming. The other idea I wanted to discuss was what possible new technologies could be the next version of social media. I asked him about censorship, but some people on the right felt that I didn't go after him hard enough. Some people, like whoever wrote this article, think I'm right-wing. And the article Joe is referring to reads, Twitter CEO claims Trump is no worse than Obama on right-wing podcast. I'm not, and I don't even think anyone who has paid attention to anything I've said believes that. It seems like someone wanted a good conversational clickbaity title for the article regardless of whether or not it was accurate. Well, obviously. As for the interview, I asked questions I wanted to ask, and although his answers on some of them were vague, I felt like I got out of him whatever I was going to get out without being too confrontational. There have also been talks of us editing videos and deleting disparaging YouTube comments. That's not true. The video fucked up while we were filming and the TriCaster crashed. As far as I know, Jamie put it all back together. As for the YouTube comments, we don't delete those. I don't know how it works, but I suspect there's some form of what Dorsey talked about with Twitter where machine learning downvotes certain perspectives or what they deem offensive or rude comments. What definitely isn't is Jamie or anyone else from my team deleting things. I definitely think there's a discussion to be had about censoring comments through computer programs or manual deleting. But I want you folks to know we're not responsible for any of that. I do my best, and if I didn't fulfill some of your expectations, I can understand. Honestly, I think I learned more from negative reactions than from positive ones, and I truly appreciate having a public review of these conversations because it's a part of how I get better at this shit. So Joe's statement pretty much touched on all the things that a lot of people were concerned about or they were disappointed or angry about, but what I want to do is break some of the stuff down because I could offer a further explanation, especially for Joe that doesn't really seem to know what's going on with the comment section. And I think that's really important. It's been bothering me because it happens to pretty much every YouTuber. If you have a controversial video, there is a comment section just heavy with traffic, and then people are accusing you of deleting comments. It happens all the time. This is what's happening to Joe Rogan right now. They're accusing him of deleting comments. They were accusing him of deleting comments when the Golden Snitch, Jeff Nowitzki, was on. Anytime there's like a controversial person on. And the reason for this, what I believe, is that there is a spam filter. A lot of times comments will be flagged, by the algorithm, and then they will go into a section and then they need to be approved. It happens in sometimes entire threads, it'll take is one comment and then the entire thing will disappear. You can check this out on even positively reviewed videos. It just happens to be like a lot of comments, but the problem is people don't usually go back and check on their comments on a positive video. Usually they check the threads, you know, and see the upvoted comments once and then they leave. But when it's a negative video, they go back multiple times to check on their comments and see what people are saying. It happens all the time, and then I always see without fail, like even on my videos that are positively received, there's comments that are just gone. People would be like, hey, well, my comment's gone. But they don't read into it because, well, why would he delete the comment? It's not a controversial video. Everybody's upvoting and praising it. So I just wanted to put that out there. So there's a couple other things that people were mad or suspicious about. Like I already talked about the comment section thing, but one other thing was that the podcast was kind of gone for a long time and then it was up. So people thought there was like some weird shenanigans going on. Maybe they're trying to damage control or something. And then there was also in the podcast itself, some of the stuff that Jack Dorsey said, especially when it comes to the banning of Alex Jones. And then Joe didn't really press him on that, or really, because Jack Dorsey had no explanation really, nothing really at all, but I'm gonna get into that. Let's address both things. So I actually caught this one live, which was kind of interesting because usually his podcasts go live around noonish or whatever on the West Coast, and this one was in the evening. I think it was around 6 or something. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember that I actually caught it during my 2 days, because I'll go to the gym around noonish and then I'll do and go in my garage and then I'll lift some weights, and then so I was listening to it around that time. And I remember towards the end of the podcast, it kind of just like stopped. I was like, oh, what's going on? Like, you know, it just dropped. And then they started it up again. And there was only like a few minutes of just like an outro. And so I'm pretty sure it got taken down because it needed to be spliced together. And so it could be one complete podcast because it just kind of got cut off. So I don't think there was any shenanigans there. But I understand, like, when a lot of hype and a lot of hysteria happens, a lot of people will make these connections and stuff like that. Like, I've done stuff like that before too. When I see something like something crazy happening and there's like a coincidence and then you kind of try to make a connection. I don't think there was any shenanigans there, but I definitely do understand why people are angry about the substance and what Jack was talking about, especially when it happened pertaining to Alex Jones. So surprisingly, when I was listening to Jack, I wasn't rolling my eyes just over and over and over. But one thing that I absolutely was like, what in the, was when they were talking about Alex Jones, because you know Alex Jones was the got banned from Twitter, and Twitter was like the last place Alex Jones was banned. And when Joe asked him like, what was it exactly that got him banned, and Jack Dorsey didn't really have an answer.
So what did he do on your platform that was like that you all were in agreement that this is enough?
I'm not sure what the actual, like, you know, violations were, but we have a set number of actions, and if they keep getting, if an account keeps violating terms of service, ultimately it leads to permanent suspension. And when all the other platforms were taking him off, we didn't find those. We didn't find those violations, and they weren't reported. But again, it goes back to a lot of our model. People weren't reporting a lot of the tweets that may have been in violation on our service, and we didn't act on them.
To me, that can only say like two things. Either Jack has no idea what's going on, or he's just bullshitting. It's one or the other, which is really weird, and it's a bad situation for both, especially if you're CEO. And then there was a huge deal, like Alex Jones getting banned from the platform. That's kind of a big deal. It seems like something that you should really know about. So it was kind of weird about that. And then Joe didn't really even like press him on that. And a lot of people speculate that, oh, the reason why he didn't press him on that was because, you know, Joe and Alex are beefing right now. With Alex Jones doing more of the beefing, Joe kind of just relaxing and staying quiet. I can understand why some people are angry, because I've seen Joe, and we've all seen Joe, get angry. Like, say when he had that debate or argument with Steven Crowder about weed, where, you know, I didn't like Steven Crowder's position, but I didn't see any reason to get heated over that shit. But obviously Joe was very passionate about that subject and was being very hostile towards Steven at a certain point.
Is there a problem when two people are correct and you're incorrect? Does that bother you?
I don't agree that you're correct.
What are you talking about? You just pulled up some statistics that show that Colorado has less traffic fatalities.
No, I didn't.
Since
I didn't pull up any
2000.
statistics.
No, he did.
You
saw
just said
them.
you. You just
okay,
said
well,
you.
I will
So,
give
no,
you
that's
my
not
laptop.
correct.
I'll turn my laptop
That's
your
not
way,
correct.
and you can pull up some shit that shows contrary
what
evidence.
is the issue?
Tell me why.
No, I'm gonna say what I was about to say.
Okay, please do.
Beforehand, because you keep redirecting the conversation, and and for some reason you're turning it into something hostile that it really doesn't need to
It's
be.
not hostile.
It is. It
Might
is.
be to you.
Yeah, it
You
is.
feel weird about it. I feel great.
Another thing that I saw was Joe pressing Candace Owens about global warming and climate change because, you know, Candace Owens, in my opinion, is an opportunist, right? And she's just kind of like parodying talking points of conservatives or whatever. So she doesn't really know what she was talking about, didn't have any idea about that stuff, which a lot of people don't. But then, you know, Joe was really pressing her on that stuff and kind of got her to say that you should probably just say that you don't know about this stuff than just trying to say like, oh, it's this or that, or I don't believe in this, when you don't really have any type of idea of what anything is.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists
Right.
and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them
Right.
and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or
No,
do you
so I
take
think-
this flippant opinion
No,
based
listen,
on the party
this
line?
is not this. The one thing you always find with me is I'll never pretend to be so educated on something. Like I'm not going on college campuses talking about global warming. I don't do that.
Right, but why are you saying that you don't think it exists,
I don't know. Maybe because it got
Here
so.
it is.
Maybe
Studies-
because it got so politicized.
Even if you're right, you don't have enough information to say that.
Right. No.
You might be
but that's why I
correct.
said this is the
But
whole
you're
point.
saying you don't believe
I
it.
don't. Yeah, I would have to have someone sit down and convince me that it was real. I personally don't believe it. That's okay.
But why?
It's good to
but-
start
but
at a
here's the
place of
thing.
not believing
But
something.
no, it's not.
You think you should start with believing everything.
No, it's not believe either or. Not believe yes, not believe no.
Yeah.
But don't say you don't believe.
Yeah.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about it and then have an opinion. But you're stating this opinion without having any real understanding of
Right.
what climate
Well, yeah,
science
'cause
is.
but
Now, the last thing I just want to say is address Joe specifically. I don't know if you're going to see this, Joe. Maybe, possibly. I don't know if you watch my channel. I know you've seen at least one video. But I just want to say that, you know, I still think you're dope. But about the situation, yeah, it is disappointing because there is just that glaring censorship that's like, I don't care if you're left or right or wherever you stand, but there is just obvious bias. And it's like, dude, what are you going to do about this? There are people getting banned that should not be banned, and there's people that clearly can be banned or should be banned or not being banned. You have someone like Kathy Griffin, for example, that you brought up yourself, that clearly for the stuff that she said multiple times over and over should probably be gone, especially wanting to dox the Covington kids. I mean, come on, I'm not asking for it. I'm just saying, hey, you know, it would have been cool to call him out on the inconsistency and say, what the hell's going on with here? And then you have someone like Sargon Makad that just cannot be on the platform. Like, did he do something like equally as egregious or what's going on here? It seems like there is obviously an ideological disparity. You know it, I know it, Jack knows it. It would have been nice to be like, hey, dude, what the hell's going on here? And the last thing I want to say is that, hey, bro, it's been over a year. You asked me if I wanted to be on your podcast over a year ago. You know, I definitely accepted. So what's going on with that, man? The fuck's going on with that? Come on, man, hit me up. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little analysis. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this. I appreciate it very much if you would do that. It would help me out a lot. Boost me in them algorithms, baby. I want to give a shout out to our mega sexy patrons. You guys are the best. Y'all can hit me up on Patreon, on Subscribestar, PayPal, whatever. Buy some merch, all that good stuff to support. All of that would help out. I appreciate it. You all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.